Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Eclipse, and today we will be going over the top 5 strategies that piss you off in Clash Royale. So before I do get into today's video, I would like to give a massive shout out to all of the people that suggested I do this video in my previous top 5. So with that being said, if you have any other top 5s you want me to do in the future, please leave those down in the comment section below. And one last thing before I do get into today's top 5, if you guys hate any of the strategies I do mention in this video, please feel free to give the video a like below. And with that all being said, let's get right into today's video. Coming into the number 5 spot, I'm actually gonna have 2 strategies here because both of these strategies do kind of play very similar. So the number 5 spot is the Expo and the Mortar. So the Expo did get a pretty big nerf, so it's not as good as it used to be, but when the Expo was in its prime, literally everybody hated it. Every single YouTuber, every single player, and literally every time you went to search, you would just find an Expo user, and there was legitimately no way to beat it at all. But since they nerfed the Expo, it's pretty crappy now, and to be honest, no one really uses it anymore. And as far as the Mortar goes, they did nerf this in the previous update, so again, the Mortar isn't as good as it used to be, but when it was in its prime, it literally pissed every single person off. And in this replay in the background right here, what are these kids doing? They're literally like putting their Mortar in the middle of the arena, and I don't see many people play the Mortar like this at all, but I guess this is just like a rare occurrence, and honestly, I'm just so happy no one uses the Expo and Mortar anymore. But with that all being said, let's head right on over to the number 4 spot, and the number 4 spot on this list is gonna be a Hog Cycle strategy. Now, all of the decks I use, like in all of my videos, all of the decks I use for trophy pushing, a majority of them are Hog Cycle decks, and the reason for is just because they're so easy to use. So right now, the most common Hog Cycle deck is with a Zap. The Zap spell is literally super overpowered with the Hog, and it's pretty much a guaranteed hit or 2. And then back in the day, before the Zap was even popular, a lot of people would use the Freeze spell, but the Freeze spell was nerfed, so that's not as popular. And then as of now, a lot of people are using the Hog with a Poison spell. So all 3 of those spells are pretty much a variation of Hog Cycle decks, and right when you unlock the Hog Rider in Arena 4, you start finding people who use Hog Cycle decks, and at first they're going to piss you off. You're not going to know how to counter them, but as you increase trophies, they become more and more easier to counter, so that is why this is placed in the number 4 spot. Switching right on over to the number 3 spot, this is kind of going to be like 2 strategies because I wasn't sure which one was more overpowered, but both of them involve the Giant. So for starters, the Giant is honestly really good. He's a really underestimated card. He does a lot of damage, has a lot of health, and he pisses me off a lot. So the first strategy we're going to be taking a look at is the Giant and Balloon strategy. So this strategy isn't too big of a deal. Like if you have anything to take out the balloon, you're pretty much set, but if you can't take out the balloon, then you're pretty much going to be screwed over. And then the other strategy I wanted to go over was Giant and Sparky. So Giant and Sparky is probably my least favorite strategy in this entire game. A majority of my losses are from Giant and Sparky, Royal Giant and Sparky. Pretty much any variation with Sparky is what contributes for a majority of my losses. Sparky is literally my worst nightmare, and when in combination with the Giant, I'm pretty much just screwed all the time. And heading on over to the number 2 spot, this is going to be the Royal Giant. So I'm just going to assume that a majority of you guys are a bit lower in trophies, and a majority of you have not yet played skilled Royal Giant users. So the Royal Giant not only has a lot of health, like just look at this replay, there are 4 barbarians smacking the Royal Giant, and he still manages to get a few hits off. Like what? And if the Royal Giant's health isn't enough, once he gets 1 tower down, he'll start spawning him on your side. And when he spawns on your side, he always gets a few hits off, and there's pretty much no way to stop him. So the key to a Royal Giant, I always figure, is don't let him get a tower early on, or else you're pretty much screwed, because the moment he starts spawning on your side, there's nothing you can do. And I'm sure you guys guessed number one. We are going to be talking about spawners. So spawners are honestly the most annoying thing in Clash Royale, and they pretty much affect players who are brand new to the game, and they affect players who are trophy pushing above 3,000. I myself don't find too many spawner users, but still, I'm above 3,000 trophies, and I still manage to find a few spawner users per day. Now spawners are really annoying just because once it hits 2 times elixir, it's pretty much game over. So the key to beating a spawner is to push a tower early on, but sometimes that's very hard to do. And I'm sure a lot of you guys hate spawners just because you get swarmed or overran, and honestly it's something you'll have to get used to. Now I myself can't always beat spawners, and I find a majority of the time I usually will tie them, but still they're just very annoying to find. And whenever I find a spawner user, I honestly just put like a sad face because it's the most annoying thing ever. And another reason spawners are number one is just because it's something that everyone can relate to. If you guys remember when you first got Clash Royale, I'm sure spawners pissed you off. If you're new to the game right now, I'm sure spawners piss you off. They pretty much annoy every single person at one point or another, and it's for that reason right there that spawners take the number one spot. So guys, this has been Eclipse, and this concludes today's top 5. Remember, if you hate any of the strategies mentioned in this video, please feel free to give the video a like below. And please, if you have any top 5 suggestions for future videos, please feel free to comment those suggestions. If I ever need a top 5 video, that's going to be the first place I will check. But guys, this has been Eclipse. This is everything I do have to say for today's video, and peace out.